Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me today for Pilates, cardio, and core. So I know it sounds really intense. It's not really. It is a little more intense than a regular mat class or my regular mat class. Today's class, we're going to use the mini stability ball just to kind of loosen up our spine at the beginning of class. Maybe might use it for some bridges a little later. I have a mini loop band here. So if you don't have a mini loop band, you can use your regular band and then put your shins together, tie it snugly around your shins, make sure it's a little knot. And then that way it should be stiff enough for when you put it around above your knees. I also have a small pair of weights. This is 3 pounds. I don't recommend anything more than 5. If you don't have anything small enough, you can still do the exercise without the weight. We'll probably only use the weight for maybe 1 or 2 exercises today, but depends on what pops into my mind, I guess, for using this prop, okay? Some of this is planned and some of it's organic, so we'll see what happens. We're going to go ahead and get started. It's already a little bit later than I had hoped, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Make sure you have your props. If you like to use the sponges for underneath your hip points or that yoga block to sit on for the seated exercise, make sure you have that as well. And we're going to go ahead and get started with the mini ball. So I'm going to put that mini ball on my mat, and then I'm going to lie down on it. And the ball is just above my brow line, right between my shoulder blades. And as soon as you get there, put your hands behind your head to support the weight of your head. And then we're just going to exhale, draw the belly in and up and curl that upper back up. And as I do that, my low ribs press into the ball a little bit more. And then I'm going to come back down to what I would refer to as my neutral spine. So I'm not arching or rounding. And then I'm going to curl up. I'm going to lower down. So in this particular movement, my upper back isn't really changing shape very much, but I am just kind of getting that tissue a little warmed up. I am definitely not pushing my head forward in this position, okay? So I'm trying to keep my head, the back of my head, in line with my upper back. We'll do a couple more of these. Maybe after the first few, you can go a little further. Make sure you're keeping your belly drawing in. 1 more. And then we're going to go back to that neutral position. And I'm just going to kind of shimmy my ribs side to side, my shoulders. So my spine is kind of wiggling here on the ball, my upper spine. Once again, just kind of releasing some tension in that upper back area. If you're like me, you carry a lot of tension there. If you don't, good for you. I'll just do this a couple more times. Remember, rest your head in your hands. I'm not looking forward at my thighs. All right, and then we're going to move that ball down just a smidge more, and we're going to do that same thing again. Draw your belly in, try to keep your ribs down, and then we're going to let the upper back kind of go to the other side of the ball while we try to keep these bottom ribs pressing into the ball. So I'm not letting my whole rib cage move, because if I do, that's not really helping me a lot. But do whatever feels good for you, whatever range of motion feels good for you. Make sure you're not pushing your head forward. 1 more. We're going to come up, pressing those back ribs into the ball, and then just kind of shimmy that spine around. Hopefully this feels pretty good for you. A little squeaking from my ball here. And then I'm going to come on off of there. And this time I'm going to put the ball at the base of my skull. So it is pressing into the back of my head a little bit, but it's not down here in the curve of my low curve of my neck. And then I'm just going to turn my head side to side, nice and slowly. Just taking this, kind of imagine the ball massaging those little muscles near the base of your skull. Then we're going to turn the head to the right. Make sure your ribs are relaxed. Then we're just going to nod the chin up and down a couple times, maybe 4 or 5 times. I know 4 or 5 isn't a couple. And then turn the head to the other side. And you'll just notice one side, you can kind of nod that head up and down. Make sure you're not just jamming your chin into your chest. And then come back to the middle. And then we're going to make like a figure 8 with the nose. Imagine you're drawing a sideways figure 8 with your nose on the ceiling. And relax your shoulders and your upper back. Relax your chest. Sometimes I like to put my hands here to make sure my chest is relaxing. And then my brain can't do all of these things at one time. So it's okay if you can't make that 8 symbol, like an infinity symbol. And then pause, take a breath in. Let your chest expand, but keep your back ribs on the mat, and then breathe out. All right, now we're going to go ahead and put the ball aside, and we're going to stand up. There we go. Now I have my camera all set up. Okay. We're going to just kind of move side to side here. I like to swing my arms as I move side to side. And that way I get a little movement in my arms and my shoulder joint. And then maybe add in a little bend of the knee, sit the butt back like you're doing a little, oops, I'm going to sit in the chair. Nope, I'm not going to sit in the chair. I'm going to sit in this other chair. And you can do whatever you want with your arms. If you raise them overhead, that will get your heart rate up a little more. If you want to get your heart rate up more. I like that idea. I like to kind of swing. Maybe you can kind of just pivot your one foot and rotate that rib cage. We'll do a couple more of these. And then we're going to do some marching in place, okay? So we're going to go slow. This is a nice slow march. That parade float right in front of us is going really slow. We don't want to bump into it. And this requires us to balance on that standing foot for a moment. Once again, you can do whatever you want with your hands. For some reason, I like to put them here in the center of my chest. So that foot comes up, you balance there for a moment, and then you put the other foot down. Try not to lean too much. So I tend to be leaning. So think tall here as you move. Nice and slow. Then we're going to add a little kicking of the leg forward. And once again, you can do whatever you want with your arms. Check your rate of perceived exertion throughout class. If 0 is you're laying in bed, you just woke up, and 10 is you're running as fast as you can, 50-meter dash, then it should be somewhere around a 5 or a 6 during class. If it gets much higher than that, then take a break, let it come down, maybe grab a sip of water, and then come back. It's on you to check that rate of perceived exertion. And then we're going to do a couple kickbacks here, flicking those toes toward the sky to get that ankle moving too. And once again, you can do whatever you want with those arms. I just like to add the arms in, why not? Couple more here, draw that belly button toward the spine so you don't arch your back. And then we're going to shake that out. And then we're going to go ahead and do some squats. Okay, so I'm going to do the squats with the band around my legs. If you have a chair to sit on to put the band on, go ahead and do that. If not, I recommend sitting on the floor so you don't fall down. And the further away from your center or your pelvis this band is, the more tension it's going to provide for you. So if your band is too tight, maybe move it up your hips a little bit. Okay, so I'm just gonna a couple times step side to side just to let everyone catch up. And then I'm gonna do a squat, okay? So we're gonna start with a little squat. I'll stand side. I'm hinging ankle, knee, hip, and then my spine is hinging forward. The back of my head is in line with my spine. Once again, you can do whatever you want with your hands. I'll show from the front. You're trying not to let those knees collapse in under the tension of the band. So they're staying that probably a little wider than hip distance. Let's do 3 more. Whatever range of motion feels good for you, do that. Squeeze those glutes at the top. 1 more. And then we're going to step side to side again. All right, now we're going to do a squat with a little knee up. It doesn't have to be a big knee up, okay? So we're going to do a squat. We're going to come up and then knee up. Squat, knee up. Squat. So you're using your hip flexor and your core a little bit here to bring that knee up. Get your balance on both feet and then squat again. Couple more. 2 more each way. Fix my band. 1 more each way. And then we're going to step side to side again. Okay. Let's go ahead and move that band down to just above the ankles. So now it's here. You can once again sit in a chair to do that. Sit on the floor. Make sure you don't make yourself dizzy or lose your balance. All right, now a little bit harder because the band is at the end of your leg. We're going to step side to side. And imagine, I like to put my hands right here, that you're moving from right here. You can bend the knees a little bit here. Come into a little mini squat. That might help you access your glutes a little more. We're doing a couple more of these. And then we're going to shimmy all the way to the one end of the mat. And we're going to travel across and then back. Once we get to that end, we're going to knee up with that outside leg. And once we get to this end, we're going to knee up with the outside leg. So we're going to little tiny, because the band's pretty tight, little tiny movements. And then I'm going to knee up with that outside leg, come back to my squat, and go to the other end. With a little tiny bit of balance work at the end. And then knee up, and then come back down. All right, now we're going to carefully come down onto the mat. I'm going to bend my knees, walk my hands out, and then come onto my knees and have a seat. I'm going to do some rollbacks. You can take the band off if you want, if it's too much. I'm just going to leave it right there, toes pointing toward the sky. I'm going to bring my arms out in front of me like I dream of Jeannie. Breathe in, breathe out, belly away from the shirt. I'm just pressing out into that band a little bit to roll back and then come back up. 4 more. Once again, trying not to let that head push forward. 2 more. Last one. We're going to stay here in the rollback position and rotate that rib cage. Rotate. I have a little tiny tuck of my tail. My front ribs are drawing down and in. One more each way. And then we're going to come on up. Take a break. Go ahead and take that band out. All right, we're going to go ahead and come on to the back. And grab that ball. We're going to place it between the thighs. Legs are hugging into the chest. Exhale, breath the belly away from the shirt. Low back presses down, and then your knees are going to come to your safe tabletop. So that's as far as you can without gripping here and without losing your low back connection to the floor. Exhale, curl up. Give that ball a little squeeze. Inhaling for 5 and exhaling for 5. Now inhale, release that squeeze a little bit, and exhale, squeeze more. Inhale, release that squeeze. Exhale, inner thighs, squeeze that ball. So think about squeezing the ball with the inner thighs, not the knees. If your neck is stressing out, place one hand behind your head, pump the other arm. Make sure you didn't side bend. Inhale, exhale, and then switch maybe 2 sets. One more set. Hold it there, reach both arms long, lower head and shoulders. This time I'm going to lengthen and bend my legs, scooping my belly away from that ball. 4 more. It's okay if your legs don't straighten all the way, and they can go out like this if you want. 2 more. Last one. And then bring it in. This time we're going to take that ball underneath the left foot. So the ball's under my left foot. It's a little unstable, but make sure your foot is pressing into the ball, not just your toes, not just your heel. All right, now right leg is tabletop. So I'm going to curl my head and shoulders up, belly away from the shirt. I'm going to rotate toward that right knee. And as I come to the middle, my left leg's going to go down, tap, curl, tap. Keep that belly drawing away from the shirt. Press into that ball gently. One more. Hold it here. Then we're going to lengthen that left leg, bend. Lengthen, bend. 2 more times. 1 more time. And then we're going to come back to the middle, lower down. Let's switch that ball to the other side. Left leg is tabletop this time. Hands behind the head. Exhale, breath curl up. My foot is already less stable on this ball. Use your glute here and your hip muscles to keep that ball still and that knee still. And we're going to rotate. And then as I come back to the center, I can lower down, leg and upper back. When you lower down, keep that belly drawing in. 1 more after this. And then we're going to come up, rotate, and then lengthen that right leg. 1, keep that belly scoop. 2, 3, 4, bring it in, hug it in. All right, go ahead and put that ball aside. And we're going to place those hips down, roll over onto your side. We're going to come back up to standing. Okay, so no crazy stuff with this version. We're going to go ahead and do a jack, okay? So your jack can be a couple different things. You can put one leg out. You can do this with your arms. That can be your jack. You can hop and just do this with your arms, or you can do your full jack, all right? We're going to do 10. If you're doing this version, then 5 on each side, all right? So we'll go ahead and get started. I think I'm going to do this version. Keep that belly drawing in, a little bend in those knees. And then rest. Check that rate of perceived exertion. All right. We're going to do a step out lunge next, okay? So we're going to step out, bend that outside knee, the other leg lengthens, and then push off this foot to come back up. Okay, so we're going to do 5 to that side. Then we're going to step to the other end and do 5 to that side. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So you're balancing on that left leg or that outside leg for a moment until that other foot comes down. Nice and tall. And that's 5. I'm going to go to the other end. You do your own counting. Hips go back when you come into that side lunge. Oh, a little too far. One more time. And then we're going to go back to the other end. We're going to do both of those one more time. So we're going to do the jack, whatever variation you like. And then we're going to do the side lunge. Jack, go. All right. Got that heart rate up a little. Check that rate of perceived exertion. When you're ready, move to your side lunge. I'm slowing down, putting my foot down here just so I can balance a little bit, working on that balance, working that side hip. 5 to each way. I'm pushing off that outside heel, this heel. One more. And then we're going to shake that out. We're going to come down onto all fours. And let's do a little cat and cow here. I'm going to do 5. That's 2. Your spine might move more than mine. It might move less than mine. That's okay. We'll do one more. All right, and we're going to do some bird dogs. So I'm tucking my toes. I'm pressing all 10 fingers into the floor. Wrap your shoulders toward your armpits. Draw your belly up. You can just reach the leg. You can reach the leg and the arm if you feel pretty stable. You choose. We're going to do 5 to one side and then 5 to the other side. Wrap that shoulder toward the armpit, the shoulder of the hand that's on the floor. Keep it wrapped toward the armpit. All right, now we're going to wiggle that out and we're going to do a modified push-up. Walk those hands forward, wrap the shoulders. If you like to put a block underneath your chest, I really like this version. If you're new to push-ups or you know they bother your shoulder or your elbow or whatever, maybe put that block right there. You're in your modified push-up position, wrap the shoulders, inhale. As soon as you touch that block, that's as low as you go, and then exhale, press up. That's too easy. You can turn it this way. Exhale. We're doing 3 more. Squeeze that chest on the way up. Last one. And then take that child's pose. Okay, we're going to do both of those again. This time, I'm going to add the weight on the back of my leg. You can use the ball back there instead if you want, okay? Now add the weight on the back of my leg, and instead of straightening my leg, I'm going to lift it up. You can leave the weight out, wrap the shoulders, belly draws up, 5 to each side, and then change. Only lift that knee as high as you can without moving your pelvis or arching your back. One more. This is definitely a more challenging variation, especially with that weight. Wrap the shoulders, really press those opposite toes into the floor, draw your belly up, and then reach. One more. And then I'm going to go ahead and put that weight out. Take a little child's pose. And then come on to all fours for my modified push-up. Getting my block again. So when you come onto the block, it should be about here, okay? Not up here in your throat, not down here on your belly button. If you have it turned up the other way, you don't need to worry about that as much. Wrap the shoulders, bring those shoulders over the wrist. Press all 10 fingers, all 10 toes. And then we're going to bend the elbows out and back, and then shh. Shh. Doing 5, 3, 4, 5, and then take a break. Getting that strength in. Taking the block out again. We're going to grab one of our hand weights. Okay, so this is core at the same time as it is strength. All right, so we're going to do a lat pull. So you can have your, I feel like with my hand on the weight, I need my other hand to be a little higher. Bending the elbow, sliding the shoulder blade toward the spine. This weight isn't heavy enough for you, you can double them up. We're going to do 10. Keep that other shoulder wrapped toward your armpit the whole time. I have 4 more you can count on your own. 1 more. And then we're going to switch sides. Same thing here. You can have your heel of your hand on the end of the block. Just make sure it doesn't feel like it's going to fall over. Or you can have your fingers on the block. Okay. Now wrapping the shoulder, drawing the belly up, and then I'm going to do 10. As I bend my elbow, my shoulder blade slides toward my spine. My belly stays up. Shh. 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 Try not to shift your weight from your left knee to your right knee. 4 more. 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and take a break. Decompress those wrists. And we're going to come on to our back. Working our way from standing onto the back. Then we're going to do a chest press. So chest press, you can do with feet on the floor. Palms face toward your feet. We're going to press up and then bend and lower down. If the weight feels too light, you can double up your weight and then maybe do 5 and then 5 on the other side, okay? Adding legs tabletop will add some core work to it. Look straight up at the sky. Relax your neck. I'm going to do 2 more. Relax your neck. Last one. I'm going to turn my palms toward each other. I'm going to bend my elbows, trying to keep my elbow pointing toward the sky, and then lengthen for a little tricep extension. Those weights come toward your forehead, to the sides of your head. Do 3 more. Try to keep those elbows pointing toward the sky. 1 more after this. And then we're going to lower it down. Let's go ahead and take those weights on the front of the pelvis, right near the hip points for bridge. Take a breath in, breathe out. Draw your belly away from your shirt, anchor those ribs down, and then lift up into your bridge and lower down. So with the weights here, you probably won't be able to get as high into your bridge. But this really does focus your brain's attention on using those glute muscles to lift the hips up. Ribs anchor. 4 more. Belly in, ribs anchor. 2 more. Last one. Hold it up there. If you can, bring those palms away from you, chest press. Stay in your bridge. Press your heels down. Imagine you're pushing your heels away from you. 5. Belly in. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then lower down. Go ahead and hug knees into chest. Place your feet down. We're gonna do that tricep extension one more time. So the arms go up, they're about as wide as the shoulders. So when the elbows bend, the weights come toward the side of my head, not toward the middle of my head, okay? Look straight up at the sky, relax your neck. 3, 4, 5. 2 more. Last one. And then lower it down. Once again, hug knees into chest. Placing the feet down. We're going to come up the standing for one last round, okay? So we're going to use we can use our small hand weights for this, or you can leave the small hand weights out. I'll show it with the weights. You can decide whether you want to use them or not. Okay, so we're going to do a squat to an overhead press. So you can start with the weights by your sides. I like this kind of suitcase squat where it looks like you're picking up 2 suitcases off the floor. You can just do this, which by the way is great. Or at the top, you can bend into a bicep curl and then reach those arms overhead and then come back down, okay? Whichever one you're doing, check your rate of perceived exertion at the end, okay? Because this is definitely going to get your heart rate up. We're using big muscles. So we're going to do 10. Move at your own pace. It's okay if you don't do 10. Suitcase, pick them up. I'm such a bad counter. I think this is 7. And then 8. And 9. And last one. All right, and then check that rate of perceived exertion. Make sure it didn't get too high. Maybe grab a sip of water. And when you're ready, we're going to come back down to the mat again. This time we're going to take that mini band around the legs just above the knees. And we're going to do a bridge. So I have that mini band around my knees. My knees are hip distance. Don't let that mini band push your legs toward each other. Okay, so keep weight in the outside edges of your feet, inside edges of your feet. Breathe in, breathe out. belly away from the shirt, ribs anchor down, and then roll up and roll down. Now you can lift and lower in one piece if that feels better for your spine. This is 2, we're doing 6. Press the heels down. Imagine you're pushing the heels away from you a little bit. That will help keep the strain out of your low back. 3, 4, looking straight at the sky. Last one. Then we're going to hold it up there and we're going to press out, out, right from here. So you put your hands here to make sure you're moving from here. 6, and then we're going to roll down. We're going to do that 2 more times. We're going to roll up, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, roll down. 1 more time. If the pressing out doesn't feel good for you, maybe make it smaller. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, roll down. Let's go ahead and hug knees in. All right, now we're going to do some side leg work. You have a choice. You can leave the band on there for side leg work, or you can take it off. I'm going to place the block underneath my head. All right, now side leg work. The bottom leg is going to be bent forward a little bit. So as soon as you lift your leg into the air, your glute's going to be firing. Okay, hips are stacked. We're going to lift and lower. So pressing the bottom knee toward the floor, bottom thigh toward the floor as you lift the other leg. Lift, lower, lift. Once again, we're trying to work right from here, right from the side. 2 more. By the way, my bottom leg and hip are working too. Lower it down. Now we're going to bring it forward and reach it back. Forward. On this one, the forward isn't as important as the back because we're getting that glute to fire by pressing into the band. Shh. Shh. 2 more. Last one. My bottom hip is on fire right now. So I'm going to lengthen that leg. This makes it more challenging with the other leg straight. And we're going to do little circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then lower it down. Let's take a break for a moment. And then we're going to go to the other side. Just kind of swinging the legs around. I'd like to put the bottom arm out in front so I'm not smashing my shoulder. Bottom leg is bent, top leg hip height. Okay, I have a little bend in my knee there. If this is bothering your knee, you can put the band higher and that'll create less tension on your knee, less tension on the band too. All right, we're going to lift, lower. The bottom leg presses toward the floor as the top leg lifts and lowers. Belly draws in. 4 more. Last one. Then we're going to bring it forward, and I'm just moving my other hand forward as a counterbalance. Once again, the more important part is the back on this one to get that glute to fire right where it meets the top of the leg. Make sure your leg is still at hip height. 1 more. And then we're going to do circles. I'm going to be the same on both sides, both legs long. Hips are stacked, 6 in each direction. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And lower it down. Just give it a little love. All right, I'm going to take the band off. And then we didn't do anything laying on the belly yet, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to rest my forehead on my hands. You can put a sponge or something under there, rolled up towel instead of your hands, leaving your hands near your sides. Actually, I like this better. All right, because when I bring my arms overhead, then that makes it harder for me to connect my core. Draw the belly up, and then we're going to curl the pubic bone toward the floor and lift those toes and lower. Lift the toes and the kneecap, lower. Lift, lower. Lift, lower. So the movement's coming from here. Lift, lower. Two more. Lift, lower. Last one. Then we're going to leave those legs long. You can leave them long, or if it feels better for you, you can bend your knees and bring your heels together, okay? I'm going to try this version. Arms overhead, shoulders away from the ears. I'm looking straight down. Draw belly up, pubic bone toward the floor, and then I'm going to float my chest up and then float it down. Float it up, float it down. Shoulder blades press toward the spine. Your upper back presses into the air above you. 3 more. 2. Last one. We're going to hold it up there. Draw the belly up. Smash the thighs into the floor a little more and swim those arms. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more set. Inhale. Exhale. And then lower down. Wiggle that bum side to side. And then we're going to go ahead and take a child's pose. If you like something else besides child's pose, go ahead and do that. And the hard work is done. Congratulations. Let's come to an easy seated position. I'm going to have a seat on a block. If you have 2 blocks, put them next to each other, have a seat on those. Okay, and then whatever position for your legs feels best. I actually think I'm going to do wide V instead. All right, now we're going to reach those arms up into the air and then bring them out to the sides. I'm going to hug myself here. My fingertips are going toward my shoulder blades. Breathe in between your shoulder blades. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. This time, breathe in. And as you breathe out, nod your chin around your spine forward. Just a little. Shoulder blades spread away from each other even more. Breathe in. Breathe out. One more time. Breathe in. And breathe out. Let's switch the arms. Same thing. Breathe in between those shoulder blades. 2 more times. 1 more time. This time, breathe in. Breathe out. Coming back up. 1 more time. And then we're going to come on back up. You can change your leg position if you want. And then we're going to do a couple of side bends to each side, stretching out the side body, stretching out those muscles in the upper back. You can bring that arm forward a little bit to do that. And then we're going to come back to the middle. Let's rotate to the right. My left hand is pressing into my right thigh. It's not pulling it, it's pressing down into it. And then I'm lifting myself up by pressing down, making my spine taller. Breathe into those ribs. Breathe out. Breathe into that chest. Breathe out. One more time, breathe in. This time when you breathe out, let that chest open up even more. I know that's counterproductive. Other side. Press down, lift up. Make sure you didn't shift your weight on your hips, evenly weighted there on their prop. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Bringing those arms up. As you exhale and press down. Empty all of the air out of your lungs. Breathe in. Fill up, let your belly expand. Breathe out. One more time, breathe in. Breathe out. Thank you for joining me for class today. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you got a great workout. And I hope you feel great.